I would like everyone to welcome Hindou Ibrahim on stage. I'll just, yes. I wanted to say, because I was with Hindou for a little bit yesterday, and you're a celebrity here, right? I mean, everyone is coming up to you, everyone is speaking to you, and we were just talking backstage. This is my first COP. This is your...
Oh my God, more than 10.
More than 10.
Not in age.
More than 10. Let's talk about what you've seen, because I know you have been busy in meetings, you've been in a lot of the closed door rooms. When you think about the previous 9 COPs and you think about this implementation COP, what is the progress you're seeing? Are you seeing progress for the indigenous peoples?
I'm getting old from then. But yeah, I mean, there is a progress because when I started coming to the negotiations, there was no room for the indigenous peoples to get in. So that was one progress, so we get a room. And I'm not going to take you through all the history, but compared to last year, so last year was amazing. I remember exactly the 2nd of November. So there was all head of state, indigenous peoples leaders, company. We come in the same room. We celebrated the 1.7 billion direct access funding for indigenous peoples, forest and land. And I was very happy because I spoke after the Prime Minister of UK, of Indonesia. I spoke and Biden spoke after me.
Wow.
So, thank you. So then I feel like, oh, okay, indigenous peoples are getting the stage. It is great. But the funny thing is, 2 days ago, there was a report that came out to show how much from the 1.7 billion dedicated to indigenous peoples for the 5 years, now it's 3 years remain, that went to the communities. And we realized only 19% of this money is spent, and the 100% of the 19, only 7% went to the indigenous peoples. 93% went back to the big NGOs and to the government. So is that like implementation COP? This is the big question that we all asking ourselves as indigenous peoples. Implementation do not look like business as usual. They cannot use us in this stage, commit the money for us, for our land, territories, forests, and at the end of the day, we get 7%. When we ask why, they say you need capacity. I'm like, excuse me, which kind of capacity are you talking about? Do you want us to go to the school, get PhDs? Because we have PhDs of restoration of the land. We have PhD plus plus of deforestation. We have PhD plus plus of protecting of the Mother Earth. Which capacity that are you talking about? Managing the funding as you are doing that are destroying our nature? No, thank you.
Yeah. Where do you think that the disconnect has happened? I mean, if you think 2021 to 2022, I mean, what has happened in your opinion?
Oh my God, many things happen already. I'm not talking about COVID, that everyone know, but a lot of things happen. The disconnection between understanding of the urgency and understanding of who are the master of the nature, who are protecting the nature. I think this is the way. They start just to saying indigenous peoples can do things. And then we get, of course, the war, we get the health issues, and they forgot about who are on the ground. And then they come again in the business of usual, breaking the trust, and just going to what they think is right. They don't want to get a commitment to the new and innovation way of the indigenous peoples. They wanted to feel more secure. They went back to the government, to the big NGOs, to believe on them. So this is what really changed completely between 2021 to now.
Well, and talking about being on the ground, I mean, you're on the ground coming up with some of that innovation there. And you've said that work can be a complement to the other work that can come in. I mean, how does that work in an ideal scenario for you?
Absolutely. So when you go to my community, we still nomadic. We still moving from one place to another one, finding water and pastures. But we have the knowledge that are revolutionary. As we don't have a cell phone that can tell us it's going to rain or hot, as we don't have like the roof, when it's raining we can just run and get in. We have to understand the nature, and we do know that. I used to say always, and I'm going to say it again, my grandmother is the best application ever. She can tell you.
She'd appreciate that.
True. Because she can tell you just by observing the cloud position, by observing the birds' migration, it's going to rain. And it's not like the app who can tell you it's going to rain, it's wrong. It's going to rain absolutely, and she knows it, because it is her survival. So those knowledge are crucial to fight climate change, to restore the biodiversity. So it's not because she didn't went to school that we cannot not value that. So that's what we need, and that's what we have as complement to our Mother Earth and to the humanity.
What more do you need then? I mean, how do you get that to spread across other indigenous tribes across the world?
It's change between the communities. Just 2 weeks ago, we organized a regional gathering, bi-regional, Africa and Asia. I took 25 indigenous peoples from Asia. I put them with more than 45 indigenous peoples of Africa. Over 3 days, we exchanged knowledge. They discuss among themselves. And then we figure out how much the peoples have the richness. We can come from the different continents, but we have this diversity of putting the ecosystem together, learning from each other. Like we found the language is not a barrier. Himalaya and the Lake Chad are not a barriers. They can all have a different knowledges, but all complementary. And when we went to the community visit, they all come back and say, listen, we have to fight for Africa, you have to fight for Asia, now we understand the realities. So that's what we need, exchange the knowledge and let us have the best of each region to implement it on the ground.
How much does, next month there is the biodiversity conference that is happening in Montreal. I mean, how much does a correct framework add to what it is that you're trying to do? I mean, what would the ideal scenario be for a framework that would help support these efforts?
Jen, on the ground when you go, there is no square mile of biodiversity loss. Another one here, climate change. Another one here, desertification. All the environmental issues are happening in the same land. It is only the international way of the negotiation who put the three conventions differently, the sustainable development here, and they try to just like put the money there, put the decision over there, and there is no coordination. So on the ground for us, we never divided the human rights and the environment rights. We never divided any conventions. We fight biodiversity laws, then it helps us to protect nature, and nature protect the climate. It stops desertification, and when you have that, you are protecting the clean air and the water. So that's how the ideal should be. The interconnection of all the conventions. The work on biodiversity must take into consideration climate change, as climate change must take nature in his heart, as desertification can have land tenure and protection of the right of the peoples. If we are still responding in silo, we will never get the response that we want. We have to connect it. Let me tell you how indigenous people say. We say the Mother Earth is alive. Why? Her blood is all the fossil that we are taking from her, from the petrol to the gas, are the blood of the Mother Earth. The trees, the forests that we are calling, are the hair of the Mother Earth. If she don't have the hair, it cannot work. The soil is her skin. So from your own body, if just your blood is sick, or your hair, or your skin, you have to go and see the doctor to heal you. So that's how we are seeing the Mother Earth. So you cannot choose protecting forests and forget the oceans. You cannot choose protecting all the desert ecosystem and forgetting the tropical forest or the subtropical forest. You have to protect all the ecosystem are one. They are connected. And that's what we should be doing as ideal at the international level.
I think that's wonderful. It's wonderful. Very true. And it's also this idea of inserting gender as well into it, because that's what we were speaking about yesterday and just how critical someone like you being at the table for these discussions is. Can you just share a little bit about what you were telling us yesterday?
Yeah, actually, when we discuss about the gender issue, I'm always saying, like, why are we still discussing that? Why do we have to justify that women are important? Every man, every children have a woman somewhere in her life. I mean, in our home, in our work, we are like one humanity. Why we have to say women need to be in the decision-making tables? It has to be natural. It has to be normal. Let me give you an example. In my community and many places in Africa, when the climate change comes, men respond by running away, just to saying, honey, stay home, I'm going to the next city to look for the job and then send the money back. They are not going there in the bank and getting the money and sending there. Who are staying back home? Women. Playing the role of the man to secure the communities, playing the role of the woman. They become innovators, they become solution makers. So why we have to justify to take them into the decision making? They deserve to take the decision for all the families. They are doing that always. We must give the way just. We must open the way. As we said yesterday, pull the chairs and let the women sit there.
Yeah. Honestly. And you have pulled the chair for a number of women who were speaking yesterday. Hindou, can we just close on reflecting, maybe thinking moving forward, right, on your 11th COP? I know we're still in the middle of your 10th. Let's talk, you know what, let's start with the 10th. What would be success for you in a week's time? I mean, the financing is still still being discussed. I mean, can you talk about, in the next few days, what would be a signal that we're maybe heading in the right direction?
Right. Maybe some of you attend the negotiation and maybe others not. I was in the negotiation room on the adaptations goal today and yesterday. We have 1 hour to decide on the text that can be proposed by the co-facilitators to the parties in order to start the negotiations. It is the same also in the loss and damage. But all what is happening when they come in the room, I just laugh. So one representative of a group of countries come, and then they say like, oh, sorry, we cannot start the meeting because it is not all my delegation who are here. So just to give you an example, imagine G77 plus China, they have 135 countries. Are they all going to come in the room before to start the meeting? Is that serious? We have the EU. It is all the 27. Are they all going to come in the room before we start the meeting, who is 1 hour? So already in this argument, we kill it 30 minutes. The 30 minutes that left, so then they give the floor to the groups. They start arguing. We get to the 3 people's time over. We say, may we stay longer in this room? They say like, oh, sorry, our delegation having a coordination meeting is not the time to do that. And I'm just like, is that a serious way to start a negotiation where we have people who are dying because of the flooding? At home, in my own family, 4 generations living in one house because all the rest of our family are flooding. Our home floods, so they have to come in one. In all around Kenya, you have people dying because of the hunger. There is all the drought going on. And then we come in the negotiation room, we just have to wait to those who are not there and delaying the negotiations. So during the 2 weeks, my hope is We come up with a serious understanding of the urgency. We respond to the loss and damage because it is the reality in our life, all of us. Not only the developing country, but even the developed. We saw the drought that's happening in France when they are calculating the liter of the water that people can use. But imagine those who do not have water, the only rain that they have, it is their tears. And the tears do not grow up crops. So we need a response for them. We wanted to have the realization of their funding. I'm not talking about the 100 billions that we talk every year about it. We have 1,000 billions to respond to the people's needs now. Otherwise, we are all going to the darkness. And that will be sadness of all the humanity. People will feel responsible why they didn't wake up earlier and responded rather than staying and saying my delegation is not in the room.
Are you hopeful?
I have to be hopeful always, otherwise I cannot be in this place. I'm hopeful because my community, even under the water or under the drought, they are waiting for the response. I have to take their voice, and they are not waiting for the solution at the international level. They are acting, using the traditional knowledge, using the science knowledge. I did a participatory mapping where I mapped more than 3,500 kilometers square of the land, only with the communities to help them build the solutions. So for them, I will be always standing up, and I will be always fighting. I have hope, of course.
You make us hopeful. Thank you so much. And I think that is a great way to end. Hindou, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for your time. Enjoy your desserts.
Thank you.